coffee with WCM, and I have my coffee and my Bible, a great combination for devotion moments. I want us today to talk about the first book of Samuel, chapter 2. We're still talking about grace that we started talking about last week. If you recall, in chapter 1, we were introduced to a man by the name of Eli. Eli met with Hannah when Hannah was still praying to God for her to conceive, to have a child. And Eli was the priest that spoke to Hannah and sort of thought that Hannah was actually drunk. I don't know if you remember that scripture. But now we get to a different angle. Now we're being introduced to Eli and his family, which is his sons. So Eli is a priest, and his children automatically, by the virtue of Eli being a priest, they also become priests. So there is a lot of people that find themselves that are being born in families that are either wealthy or in royal families or in situations of power or position. Or sometimes you find a person that finds himself in a company or in a business in a position of power, and sometimes you find pastors that are in a position of power in their church. And most of the time, power can either make or break people, especially if that power came to you without you understanding what it entails and what it is all about. So in this case, we find the children, the sons of Eli, being priests and having to carry out their duties as priests. They didn't have to pray for this. This was automatically given to them. It was something that they inherited from their father and their forefathers, because their family was a family of priests. And now this is the family where Samuel was taken into so that she can work for God, And Samuel was this child of Hannah. So now we find the sons now in a position of power, a church in the temple, and now they are abusing their power. Because so many people, once they find themselves in the position of power, they tend to think that that position came to them because they deserve it. They feel like that position is theirs, they're entitled to it. They feel like they own it, not understanding that God placed them in that position of power, not understanding God's grace. And now these sons were in the same situation. They were abusing their power by abusing the people that were bringing offerings to the temple, offerings to God, and they would take those offerings for themselves. They started being greedy. They felt like they were untouchable because they were in authority, and they felt because they're in authority, there is no one to account to. Just like some pastors in some churches, they get to be in authority, they get to be in charge of a church, and they feel there's no one that they need to account to, and they do as they please. Some husbands who are leading their families, they in power, they in authority of their family, they the ones that are heading that family, and at times they abuse their power and feel like they have no one to account for. But what they don't understand is that God placed them in that position of authority, and they are in actual fact accountable to God. And at times they feel like they'll be irreplaceable, like that position, that power makes them invisible. It makes them people, it makes them to not actually be people that could be removed in that position. They feel they were born for it. It is theirs, not understanding that it can be taken away if abused. Now we see the sons doing all bad things at church, and they were also busy seducing the girls at the temple, at the gates of the temple, and they were also mistreating people who were bringing offerings to God, and that made God unhappy. So if you are that person that's in a position of power and you feel like that power came to you because of merit, it came to you because you deserve it, and you start misusing that power, understand that that power can be taken away. So if you go to verse 27 going downwards, a warning to Eli's family. Now a man of God was sent by God to go speak to Eli and warn Eli about what God was about to do in the lives of him, of of Eli's life and his sons. God was going to take away everything from Eli because his sons were abusing power and Eli was not disciplining them. So don't find yourself in a position of power where you abuse your power and then God takes away that power from you. Because the problem with things that came to you with ease, you tend to look down on them. You tend not to see them for what they are in your life. Just like the sons of Eli, they didn't appreciate being priests and they felt it was their right. They felt it was all by their power, by their doing, by the fact that they were born in the family of priests. So if you are in position of power, remember God's grace placed you there. Before concluding, I want to emphasize that it is important to not abuse your power. Do not abuse your power, whether it be at work, whether it be at church, whether it be in your company, whether it be in any situation in your household as the head of that household. Don't abuse your power. Do not make God angry. Instead, use your power to bring glory to the name of God. In conclusion, I want to say to each and every person watching this that God's grace is sufficient for all of us. He can take away the power that He has given to us and give it to somebody else who is more deserving of that power or of that authority. Catch me again next week as we move on to chapter 3 of the first book of Samuel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share our videos.